Hello travelers from around the world, we are in one of the natural wonders of the United States and the most visited national park in New Mexico, a crystal sand desert that you just have to see. The mind-blowing landscape is full of extraterrestrial inhabitants and is surrounded by a missile testing range, so welcome to another unique place on Earth. Most of the world's dunes are made of quartz-based sand crystals, but the sands of white sands is made of gypsum. This means it reflects more of the sun's rays and it doesn't get hot, so you can safely walk on it barefoot, even at the height of summer. This national park is very small. It takes about 45 minutes to drive along the main road, which is called Dunes Drive. First, as usual, we will visit the park's visitor center, where we plan to get some useful information and do something else which is very important before entering the park. The White Sands Visitor Center is a beautiful Pueblo-style building with a frontier ambiance. As always, here you can find a store, volunteers, park staff, and some very cool merchandising. Stuffed toys, hiking hats. Well, the important thing we had to do is to stamp our national park passport. It's a very common tradition here, and many Americans who like to go hiking and to visit national parks have one of these. There are different formats, like mine, which is very simple, or like this one. Everybody collects the stamps. You come to a national park, and that's what you do. Ta-da! Millions of years ago, this region lay at the bottom of a shallow sea. When the sea disappeared, it left layers of gypsum behind, and subsequent tectonic activity raised the seafloor to form mountains. Over time, rain dissolved the gypsum in these mountains, and groundwater transported it to the Waco River Basin. During the last ice age, much of this basin was covered by a lake, now called Lake Otero. When it dried up, a large flat area of selenite crystals remained. Weathering and erosion shattered the crystals into small grains of sand, and winds from the southwest carried them away, forming white dunes. Penetrating the heart of the national park is a 13-kilometer paved road, Dunes Drive, from which 5 hiking trails depart. Each of these trails has a different difficulty level, but they all offer picture postcard views. Look at this huge bus that people use to travel around the country. To tell you the truth, it's very typical here in the United States. I've seen some motorhomes the size of 3 buses. People come here not only to go hiking, but also just to take pictures, climb the dunes, go sledding, or even sandboarding. There are also camping and picnic areas in the park, and tours with local rangers are offered. Let's go up the dune. To tell you the truth, it's not easy. Reaching the top. Wow. What a view! The views from here are very beautiful, but it's quite difficult to move around because it's not the typical sand we're used to. It's gypsum, selenite dust, and it's very soft. It even makes you want to use it to make a cake or something like that. A lot of people bring a slide to slide down the dune, but I'm gonna do it without a sled. This whole ecosystem may look empty and desiccated, but it's actually full of life. The area we see here becomes covered in grass during the rainy season, and life emerges here. The eggs of many reptiles and insects begin to hatch, which in turn attracts larger predators like birds, and so the endless cycle continues. White Sands is home to some amazing animals that have adapted to the unique conditions of the gypsum world over several thousand years. For example, the mesquite lizard is much paler here than in the rest of the continent, allowing it to camouflage itself from predators. The Apache pocket mouse here also has a paler coloration compared to its cousins found elsewhere. They feed intensely and can go months without drinking water. Another curious animal is the Mexican burrowing toad, which stays in its burrow during the day and shuts down most of its vital functions. Their skin dries up, forming a shell that protects them, and when the rain comes, they reproduce en masse, which gives the species a chance to survive. I'm not going to dig the ground here because I don't want to encounter scorpions or anything like that, but in this area, as you can see, the sand is a little wetter because some water accumulates here and there is some vegetation. The Mescaleros and Apache tribes did this. They dug a hole and left it overnight, and by the morning the water will fill the hole, giving them a little reservoir of water. Despite the outward resemblance to the desert, there is much more water in the interior of this land. This water preserves the structure of the dunes and compacts the gypsum. Some of this water may have been underground here for thousands of years, while most recently, water seeped into this valley from San Andres Mountains just a few years ago. Most curiously, the functioning of this hydrologic system was not well understood until very recently, and the research is ongoing to this day. Like in all national parks, there are several trails here. Some easier, some more difficult. They are always well signposted, and this one in particular is very popular because you can walk on wooden decks and it has one of the best views in the park, so it's a good one for us to start with. Sometimes, White Sands National Park is closed for a couple of hours a week, and that's because the park is right in the middle of the military zone where missile tests have been conducted since the Second World War. By the way, the first atomic bomb was detonated at Trinity Proving Ground, 100 miles north from here. And if you're wondering whether radiation levels in the park are high, the answer is no more than the rest of the country. Although, such a strange place does make you wonder. The trail is very interesting. It looks like a sort of small valley with dunes. I don't know if you can see it very well in this video, but I'm in a kind of valley, and the route itself follows a spiral pattern. It's actually pretty easy to get lost here, because all the dunes and everything that grows here all look the same. So to keep people from getting lost, there are blue posts placed here. We were warned at the visitor center that if the wind picks up, it can be quite difficult to find where you parked your car before the walk. And here's someone wishing us happy Valentine's Day. But I think we're a little late. As you can see, there are lots of different drawings, like hearts. Families with kids must have a great time here drawing things in the sand. On the Dune Live Nature Trail, you can see pedestals made by plants such as sumac. Many shrubs and trees survive by clinging to the dune with their roots and absorbing the groundwater. As the dune shifts, these plants are left without any ground surrounding them and creates these unique natural sculptures. Other plants have different strategies. The soap tree yucca extends its stem over the dunes, reaching up to 9 meters away. When the dune moves, the plant's long stem can no longer support itself and falls over. From these stems, new side sprouts grow, and a new cycle begins. Another national park and the same lesson learned. In any desert, there is a hidden oasis, and even in the most difficult situation, life still prevails. And to discover it, you just need to look under the surface, no matter how shiny it may be. Dear friends, that concludes our video for today. Thank you so much for watching it all the way to the end. Next week, we will continue our journey through New Mexico and visit some more spectacular national parks. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. And if you don't want to miss our next video, click on the bell. Thank you so much, and see you soon, world travelers.